Wallabies in the NRLW for the second time.
Glorious stroke to bring up a glorious 100.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Wide World of Sports. I'm Nick McCardle. On deck this week, sports superfan Gus Wallen, Paralympian Ellie Cole and Sandsport pundit, former Socceroo Craig Foster. Also joining us, another Gus, Angus Crichton. Welcome to you.
Guys, appreciate it.
Speaking of Gus's, you've made this Gus very, very happy with the win on Friday night.
Hey, pleasure's all mine, Gus. Appreciate it.
It was so fantastic, mate. We're rolling again, which is really good, and you're playing some great footy, and the young halves are doing a great job, and Walker, what a special talent.
Yeah, everyone's been going really well. I think we've been sort of working really hard to sort of push towards this the last couple of weeks, and it's starting to show a little bit now, which is good. It
does look like things are starting to click just a little bit.
Yeah, I think obviously we know that this has been in us. We've been building towards this for a while, and I think you look at the players that we've got in the team, we know that we should be mixing with the big dogs here, and I think just simplifying our game a little bit and just sort of like, I don't know, holding those passes back a little bit and just playing that long game has really been serving us.
Angus, right. I wanted to ask you about your ex-teammate Alex Johnston. He's closing, I think, 4 tries. He's got to go right for the top scoring record. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, unreal. I think, I think someone said it the other day, to have 2 of the top 4, we're playing each other in potentially a couple of weeks, I think it's a pretty special time to be playing the sport, to be witnessing this kind of greatness. I think, yeah, Alex Johnston's obviously up there, but my guy Daniel Tupou, I think he's 4th of all time now, and he's the most humble guy you'll see on the team, so that's my guy right there.
He is in some great form. So Gus is here. We're going to talk some more rugby league and NRLW in just a moment, right after we find out what's on today's show.
The rumour's been confirmed. Snoop Dogg is heading our way, the halftime headliner at the AFL Grand Final, but not everyone's happy. The English Premier League season underway on 9 and Stan Sport, Craig Foster with the best bits from overnight. The fallout from the Wallabies' incredible win in South Africa. Only the second time Australia has ever beaten the Springboks in Johannesburg. Emma Raducanu's little blow-up in Cincinnati this week, it got Gus thinking. His top 5 weirdest sporting interruptions. And home is where the heart is. An insight into the personal cost for an Aussie trying to make it big in the US.
Yeah, I love it a lot.
All that and a stack more heading your way over the next hour right here on 9's Wide World of Sports.
Yeah, it's a big hour coming up right here on Wide World of Sports, but it has already been a cracking weekend in the NRL and in the NRLW, and that's where we're going to start. Some scores from the NRLW, and the Sharks have slipped into the top 4 with a controlled 12-8 victory at Shark Park. The Broncos celebrated captain Ali Briganshaw's 50th game with a 38-4 demolition of the Eels, while the Warriors were down to 11 players against the Raiders, with Matakino Gray and Taisha Ekanazio both sent off for dangerous tackles. The lopsided affair was too much for the home team, the Raiders winning 20 points to 16. And in the NRL, wins to the Sharks and the Rabbitohs, while the Broncos have claimed the Battle of Brisbane, a high-scoring affair over the little brother, the Dolphins. Katoni Staggs and Reece Walsh both starring in the absence of halves Adam Reynolds and Ezra Mann. That win has kept Brisbane's top 4 hopes alive, sitting 2 points behind the Warriors. On the flip side, the Dolphins, they've dropped out of the 8 now with their hopes of a maiden final series slipping away. So let's wind it back to Friday night, and we sort of touched on it. It was pretty special, but just that sense that you guys are heading in the right direction, that combined with the timing, like it's the right time of the year.
It is, and we don't want to get carried away with ourselves. I think the last couple of weeks we've had a few good wins, but we're in no point resting on our laurels and getting cocky at all. I think we know that we've got a lot of work to do.
When it comes to the end of the year, the Australian going to the Ashes, we've got a cricket Ashes here, then a rugby league Ashes over in the UK. No doubt you'll be a part of that, but we're starting to see people like Tino now, and Haas is gone, going and playing for the nations where, you know, their family is from. Is that a good thing, do you think, in terms of the strength of international rugby league?
Mate, I honestly think it's great for the game. I think seeing these sort of Pacifica nations thrive in that international stage, I think is so good for the game. These guys are so passionate about where they're from, their culture, their parents, where they were born, that kind of thing. I think it's such, they've come to Australia on such a limb from these little countries like Samoa and Tonga, and for them to be able to represent their family and sort of put their family's name on their back and go represent them on the world stage, I think it's great for rugby league. It's great for them to be competitive, and it's beautiful for them to represent their family as well, I think.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And I know that you have a lot on your plate right now, but looking ahead, you know, your contract with the Roosters, it's finishing at the end of next season, and you're 29 years old. So if you're looking towards your future, does any temptation of expansion team come into play when you decide your next move?
To be completely honest, I think especially at this time of the year, I'm just so focused on playing footy for the Roosters, and I know I'm there for next year. And a year's a long time in footy, you know what I mean? So I'm just got my blinkers on, just working hard to make sure I'm playing my best footy for the Roosters. That's where I'm at.
That's a good answer and very predictable. So.
All credit to the boys.
The other thing that's floating around is this R360, this rebel competition. Now, I won't go there with you. You've got a history in rugby, so perhaps it's something on your mind. But it's a temptation, it has to be a temptation for rugby league players as well as rugby players, because they are offering some big cash.
Yeah, for sure. But I think at this point, it's nothing but just a whisper, you know what I mean? So I think until there's anything solid there, you're not going to see guys putting their hand up saying, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. But the amount of cash that they're throwing around is obviously going to be perking the guys' ears up, you know what I mean? They're talking about $1.5 to $2 million for these players, but at this point in time, it's just a whisper, and who knows what's going to happen, so we'll see.
And we've seen, you know, that kind of discussion happen in other sporting codes as well. But what I've seen from athletes in particular, especially over the last decade, is work-life balance on and off the field. You married in May to your beautiful wife, Chloe, and now own a barber shop. How do you think that all translates to how you play on the field?
I think having stuff off the field always helps you. Oh, here she is. Look at her. She looks gorgeous.
You're punching there, Gussie.
I'm definitely punching. Big shout out to Chloe. I think, honestly, I've loved being married. I think everyone sort of says, oh, nothing changes that much, but I just love being able to come home and call her my wife, you know what I mean? So you talk to people, oh, sorry, man, I've got to get home to my wife.
Yeah. How good are wedding videos? That's like a documentary.
Proper, mate. Yeah. They killed it. My wife, she was saying, she was laughing, she was saying it was that awkward the day she felt like a movie star for the whole day. You got cameras following you around.
She looks like one too, doesn't she? She's beautiful. And this business now with the barber shop, we've got many of the players going in there looking for freebies.
We got a few of the boys now. We do maid trades, which is good. That's my business partner there, Florian. He's been great. So AC, Angus Crichton, Flo, he's this little French man called Florian from Paris, and he's the head barber. So that's where the AC Flo comes from. We're looking to open our second store in Darlinghurst hopefully next year. So it's exciting.
I'd say, I dare say there's a few on the panel here who might be getting down there.
Hey,
probably get a bit of help as well.
You got great hair.
Has had great hair.
That's real thing. That's real thing. You got plenty of time.
You're right. What about, do you guys keep an eye on the NRLW? You know how well it's going? I mean, some of your colleagues at the club, I think Isabel Kelly, Keely Davis against the Broncos, they're playing their 50th games. Pretty special.
Yeah, I think it's huge for the game. Obviously, I'm pretty biased. I follow the Chooks girls, but yeah, and they've been on a heater the last couple of years, so it's pretty easy to follow. I think for those girls who are playing their 50th game, it's huge for the sport. It's huge for them personally, and I think it's such a great achievement.
Angus, thanks for spending some time. Just be careful on the moped.
I'm telling you, it was cold on the way here, but we got here in time.
Good to spend some time with us.
Hey,
thanks very much. All right, Angus is out of here. We'd love you to stick around. More Widest World of Sports on its way.
Details of the Wallabies win over South Africa, their first in Johannesburg in 62 years. Venus Williams striking a blow for senior citizens everywhere, set to become a record breaker at the US Open. Details shortly. And we've lost a giant of Australian cricket with the passing of Bob Simpson, a great player before becoming a great coach, mentor and friend. We'll cross to Mark Taylor shortly. You're watching Nine's Wide World of Sports.
From the promising teenager who was chosen to play for New South Wales, through a long career at international level, and finally charting the course of Australian cricket from his influential and sometimes controversial coaching role. He ended up playing 62 tests for Australia, averaging just under 50 with the bat.
That's the 50. 50 to Simpson.
How many runs cumulatively have you scored with all those bats over there?
Well, I know I scored over 22,000. Would have taken a few more bats than the ones I've got there.
It's now left to history to judge Simpson's later contribution as national coach, an era which saw Australia rise to the top of the cricketing world. His supporters credit Bob Simpson with playing a pivotal role in the resurgence of Australian cricket. And whatever his critics may say about his style, as coach and as player, they could never question his determination to succeed.
Paul Lockyer's profile of Bob Simpson there from 1996 as we commemorate the great Australian Bob Simpson having passed this weekend. And we're going to talk to Mark Taylor about one of the greats of Australian cricket. Tubby, good to see you. How do you remember Bob Simpson?
Oh, wow. My memories of Simo go back to my first game for New South Wales, way back in 1985, when he was then the coach of New South Wales. So I played just about all my career, professional career, with Simo as a coach in some team, one or the other. A tough competitor, but really focused on the little things in the game, and particularly the fielding, the running between wickets, doing things that other sides weren't doing. And Bob had an edict as a coach, first and foremost, that the best fielding side in the world will be the best cricket side in the world. And I think that's about right, and it still holds today. He looked after those little things that other sides didn't. So I remember him as a coach, but also as a selector, a mentor to a number of players. And I can think back to his playing days, although I never saw him actually play. I remember him coming back in 1977 in that World Series cricket era where Bob was pulled out of retirement at the age of 41 to captain our then national side. So he gave a lot to Australian cricket. There's no doubt about that.
Tubby, West Indies, 1995. Obviously, we saw there in the package you holding up the trophy. When he was the coach of the Australian team and you were captain, what sort of influence did he have on you, mate?
Well, I think right from the word go, just doing those little things right, training well, not over the top training, but training well. And the fact that Simo was an opening bat, a slip fielder, also a damn fine leg spinner as well. It took 70-odd test wickets. I think he and I resonated because we were similar in that in certain regards, that we weren't flashy players. I know Bob wasn't a flashy player, but he did those things right. And when I first came into the New South Wales side, I remember him saying to me, he says, "Mark, where do you field?" And I said, "Mate, I field in slips." And he says, "Right, you're now with me. You're with me." And I was with Simo all the time, along with Heels, Mark and Steve Waugh, Shane Warne, and we just continued to work on our slips fielding. So that attention to detail is what I remember the most.
What about off the field, Tubby? As a coach, reportedly a fairly hard taskmaster. There's a lovely story when you get to a hotel, Bob would become best mates with the concierge, and that concierge then would be almost like his spy, so that when you blokes were out gallivanting around town, Bob would be the first to know.
I can't. I don't want to say too much to put myself in trouble here, but I learnt that from a very early part of my career. My first game for New South Wales was at the TCA ground in Hobart, and the third day of the game coincided with my 21st birthday. So I did have a couple of bevies on that. Must have been about a Saturday night or a Sunday night. And I missed the team bus the next day. And I was rooming with Mark Waugh, who was also on debut. So we got to the ground a little bit late. Well, Simo put us through 45 minutes fielding drill, which I then worked out very early on that you had to try and avoid, because by the end of it, your legs were jelly, you could hardly stand up, and you thought the extra beer or two you might have had wasn't worth the pain the next morning. So I learnt that in my very first game.
Tubby, very special to have you on board to remember a very special Australian in Bob Simpson. Thanks very much.
Absolutely, mate. A sad day the other day for Australian cricket. He will be missed.
It is indeed. We will all miss Bob Simpson, having been the coach, the mentor, the friend, and such a great player for Australian cricket. Let's head around the grounds now and check out what has been happening around Australia. And the passing of Bob Simpson was recognised with a moment's silence before the third and final T20 match in Cairns. The Aussies limited the Proteas to 172 and found themselves in a reasonably comfortable position after their first 5 overs before South Africa climbed back into the game with 4 quick wickets. It set up a thrilling finish. Glenn Maxwell was the man of the moment, smashing an unbeaten 62 to guide Australia to a series victory with 1 ball to spare. And it was a pretty good night for Australian teams against South Africa, with the Wallabies fighting back from 22-0 down after 18 minutes to beat the Springboks 38-22 in Johannesburg. That's right, on the high felt in Johannesburg, Australia's first win over South Africa at Ellis Park since 1963. 62 years since the Wallabies have managed to do that. Only the second time ever. Gus was watching it, and Gus, after 18 minutes at 22-0, you think, oh, my God, here we go again.
Going to go to Nine Eyes and thought, why am I getting up the excitement of the Lions? I thought maybe we're going to get to that next level. But as soon as that happened, we scored one try. And then there was another. And all of a sudden, was it a special night was going to happen? And eventually it did. And now you look back at that Lions and you look back at that last seconds of the second Test match. You think from pretty much those moments, the Wallabies have been the best rugby team on the planet. So that's great for Australia going into World Cups and going into, obviously, the Rugby Championship with Argentina and New Zealand.
Joseph Sully gunning there for his first try of his Wallabies career. Max Jorgensen, excellent again. James O'Connor at 10 at fly half, and they had all the injury problems in the lead-up to this match. And he had an outstanding game. Tom Wright was terrific after a tough start as well. So,
unbelievable, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Let's hear from a very happy coach, Joe Schmidt.
I get to see these guys working up close, and I know how much it means to them. They're incredibly proud of the gold jersey that they wear and the bond that they're forming between themselves. And I'm just blown away a little bit by the way they stayed in the game, because at 22-0 down after 20 minutes, gee, it would be easy to fall out of a game.
Wallaby coach Joe Schmidt there. We get to do it all again next weekend. The second test against the Springboks of the Rugby Championship continues. It's live from Cape Town. Sunday morning coverage starts from 12:30 a.m. Eastern, live and exclusive on your home of the Wallabies Stan Sport. And then come September, there's another little hoodoo that the Wallabies will be looking to break, and that is trying to beat the All Blacks at Eden Park for the first time since 1986. So looking forward to seeing the Wallabies progress through the Rugby Championship. We are going to push a couple of quick singles. And Eloise, you're going to get us started.
I'll take it away. So Venus Williams this week at 45 years young, given a US Open wild card. Her first appearance at a Grand Slam in 2 years. Seven-time world champion, will be the oldest US Open singles entrant since 1981. So seeing a little bit of history, both with rugby and Venus Williams since the 80s.
I think that's fantastic. The Williams sisters done so much for tennis. What about this, guys? The Aussie lacrosse team, back in 2022, they won bronze, and they've defended that. They beat the Japanese and they won bronze at the World Games. A game, obviously, that is not sort of known in Australia that well, but if you have results like this, we start winning some World Cup medals and so forth. I think more and more kids and people want to play it. A huge sport around the world, of course.
Yeah, brutal sport too.
Yeah, sure is. Good on the Aussie girls. Look at that. And the Boomers, they got it done as well. They won the semi-final against Iran. They absolutely gave it to them. 92 points to 48, the win over Iran. And now they've got China tonight. So that's the Asian Cup. So the Boomers will come home with either a gold or a silver medal. And, of course, once you get to the final, there's only one colour that you want. And the Chinese will wait, though, and they'll be much stronger than the Iran side that was flogged overnight.
Yeah, question for you three and for the viewers. Is Mondo Duplantis, the Swedish pole vaulter, the finest athlete in the world today? Another world record. Wow. 13 highest successful jumps of all time this guy has. This is the Hungarian Grand Prix. Gets $100,000.
Wow.
It's good for him for winning that. And he's seeking his third successive world title to equal the great Sergei Bubka.
Wow.
This guy's just amazing.
It's like the Katie Ledecky of pole vault. Oh, this is very, very exciting. So this is the second time in as many weeks that I've talked about Snoop Doggy Dogg on this show. I'm at it again. Snoop Dogg, he's set to perform at this year's AFL Grand Final, trading the Super Bowl for a Sharon football, and I am totally here for it. So swapping out our meat pies and mid-strength beer with a bit of gin and juice at halftime.
Sounds good. Good on him.
Snoop Dogg, D-O-G-G at the MCG. I like that.
Yes.
Now, you were at the MCG last year. I'm very good at spelling. You were at the MCG last year, so Katy Perry was there last year. You almost got to see Katy Perry, almost got to talk to Katy Perry.
I did. Well, I didn't get to talk to her, but I was very fortunate last year to hand the match ball over to the umpire, which was about a 3-second roll at AFL Grand Final
Robbie
last
Williams.
year. Bit of kiss as well. So
they've done a great job, haven't they, with entertainment, the AFL? They beat the NRL every time on that.
I was really impressed with Kiss at the Grand Final a few years ago. It was sweltering hot, and you know these men were playing in full leather in the sun with fire, the pyros setting off and the makeup, and it's always a great spectacle.
And you notice there no meatloaf?
Unfortunately not. I mean, Meatloaf had probably his worst day, didn't he? But he got paid and he left town, and we've never seen him again, the big fella.
Meatloaf
ordered,
the AFL ordered all vision of that day to be destroyed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't exist. It's like it never happened.
Well, we'll be interested to see what Snoop Doggy Dogg can produce.
Yeah, can't wait for that. Ellie's very excited about that. Why wouldn't you be? Let's take a look at what is coming your way still on Wide World of Sports. The opening weekend of the English Premier League on 9 and Stan Sport, everything we'd hoped for and more, the very best of the action shortly. And the countdown is on to the next edition of the Lexus Melbourne Cup. The first Tuesday in November, it'll be here before you know it. Some legends of Australian sport have been hanging out with the Cup. Details shortly. This is Wide World of Sports.
Isidore! Wilson Isidore gets it on the act! An opening day statement of intent!
Numbers, Manchester City's favour. Tijani Reinders! That's what he was doing with monotonous regularity for Milan in Serie A. Bob. Reinders. Haaland, 3. Utterly clinical from Manchester City. Oh, beautiful drop on the shoulder from Kudus. And what a magnificent goal! That is sensational from Richarlison.
What a weekend. And the opening weekend of the English Premier League continues on Stan Sport. Tonight, Manchester United take on old foes Arsenal in a Sunday blockbuster. That's just one of 3 massive matches tonight in an EPL triple header from 11 p.m. Chelsea taking on Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge, and Nottingham Forest facing Brentford, and then the big one, Man U and the Gunners from Old Trafford. Stan Sport, your only destination for exclusive access to every match live and in 4K. To subscribe, head to stansport.com.au/football. Yeah. This man has enjoyed every moment of it.
You can't miss that tonight. I mean, what is it, 1:15 a.m. Manchester United against Arsenal. What a fantastic opener. Amazing.
What a way to start. The defending champs, Liverpool, a lot of emotion in that match, wasn't there? And how did they handle all of that?
Well, they handled it well. I mean, Gus, I know you're a big fan of them, and you saw some, tifos, and you saw them singing the song for Jota and the like. Obviously, it was a horrible pre-season for them, reigning champions, unbackable favourites. They strengthened as well. Quite a few players, goal scorers moved on, and so, look, you would expect at Anfield a lovely tribute. You never walk alone in these things. It was actually lovely after the game. You might have seen Mo Salah go to the crowd, and he was in tears. And a legend of such incredible stature, amazing goal scorer, and a superstar around the world, just to show that, that very human emotion, that you don't often see from them, because, they just got to get the job done. Doesn't matter what's happening, doesn't matter what the crowd are doing. And here's this guy actually crying, tears rolling down his face, because it's his teammate. That's his loved friend. He clearly was someone that had a great deal of affection from all of the players and the fans, and not just Liverpool. So it was a lovely start. Bournemouth did brilliantly, actually, but they showed enough, a lot of subs coming on. I thought the nicest part after it was Ekitike, who came across from Bundesliga and scored and assisted, which is huge for Slot, to both get the win, but also for a good start for a big signing. Wirtz was the opposite. I thought, he was way off the speed of the game. And Ekitike, after the game, he said, "Oh, listen, I had to come off, at 65 minutes or something, because the first time I had cramp in my career." He said, I just, the difference physically of the intensity, just the absolute speed between here and the Bundesliga now. He said, I didn't expect it. I heard about it, but he says, this is unbelievable.
Fantastic opening weekend.
Yeah.
What about, let's go home, Western United, there's some drama there. Have you got the latest for us? For people that don't know, they're obviously not part of the A-League anymore. The players and staff have been paid, but where are we sitting, mate?
Yeah, so actually I don't have a lot of clarity, and this is kind of the problem. So what's happened is Football Australia have withdrawn their licence, but haven't really made clear to either the players or the community as to why that's happened. We know it's been very public that the players and staff weren't paid for a while. Those arrears have been made up, as I understand. It's sad for Johnny Aloisi, he just signed recently, and all those players. There was an appeal on Friday. And I think they have the right of another appeal, even perhaps to CAS, for example. So it looks as though it's going to drag on for perhaps another month. You know, and obviously the players need to understand it's only a couple of months out from the new league. So look, it's very unfortunate. We'd rather not see it. It's something that the game has had, you know, a little bit too much of, you know, over the decades, to be honest with you. And we would just much rather not to be having this conversation. So I think it's rightly put pressure from all fans and football lovers around the country. There's many millions of us saying, listen, you know, when's this going to stop? When are we going to just keep going that way?
And continuing on with what's happening here at home, Football Australia's coaching blueprint has been dumped. So what's now for not only the playing style, but the coaching style in Australia?
Yeah, another one. So it's just, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of flux in the game at the moment. There's been a lot of management who leave Football Australia, and then you've got some of these issues in the APL as well. I would say, you know, without touching on specific plans for the way we should or shouldn't play, I think the main point is this. Everyone around the country knows that what the game has always lacked is this alignment, full alignment and just unity, speak with one voice, you know, and to see that everyone's clearly working together. And I think we've still got some work to do in that regard, right? And so we need to know what a plan is and just stick to a plan. Thankfully, we're starting to produce both some young female players and sell more young male players abroad, as we used to do in the 90s and early 2000s. We're still some way off. So a plan integrated from bottom to top is probably the most important, and that unity, the most important thing in the game right now. So that's not a great look.
The EPL back in action tonight, so looking forward to that on Stan Sport. We're going to get into some takeaway right now, and we're going to go back to Foz. This is a really interesting one, the mouthguards.
Yeah, it is. Well, you know about this as well as anyone, is these new mouthguards that I understand already provide some advice to the medical staff immediately as to what the impact is. Now they're in the Women's Rugby World Cup, you know, coming up shortly. They've got it with a actual light in it. So depending on both the velocity of the hit and the rotation of the mouth and the head, it will light up immediately to let everyone know that, you know, this plane needs to be taken off. So I don't know what you think about it, but to me, you know, all of these types of things that protects players can only be good.
Some of the players don't love it because they think that, you know, a collision will light things up, or in the men's game will register on the sideline. They have to be taken off.
Mandatory.
And some of the time they're passing their HIA with flying colours. So I think there's still some tweaking to be done around the edges.
More erring on the side of caution there. Well, I've got some really exciting news. Friend of the show, two-time Olympian and Olympic silver medalist Maria Faye Attaché Del Solar has welcomed a new baby boy here. Beautiful Luca Michael Curtin, just last Saturday, announcing his arrival on Instagram, captioning, "We love you so much, our darling boy." So from the sand into motherhood, very different lifestyle, but lots of early mornings. Athletes are pretty used to it.
One. And another one to tug at the heart.
Yeah, exactly. This one was very, very emotional. Archie Wilson, who just turned 19 on the weekend. He's a kicker, he's a punter, kicks with his left foot and his right foot. He's actually in Nebraska at university, and he showed some real vulnerability, and he was very authentic. Let's have a listen to his press conference.
First time you're away from them?
Yeah, that part's hard. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, I love him a lot.
He loves him a lot, and we love him a lot too. He hasn't played a game yet, but he's over there. He's homesick at the moment. He's going through a lot, and he was just honest. You could see him take a moment and go, am I just going to fudge this? Or am I actually going to talk openly about something? And that's obviously what we talk about at Gotcha for Life, my foundation, is men in particular, but all humans just being human.
Exactly.
Going through ups and downs, having your moments and so forth. So for us, you know, Archie, we will be watching this game like we've never watched a college game before.
I agree. I'm going to watch him now.
Of course, because he's obviously a talent. He's away from home. Like I said, he's only just turned 19.
Yeah, we all feel like that about Australia and about the family when you're overseas back home. So well done to you.
And you know what? His team came out and said, we're your family now. And it just got us thinking about the 24-hour row for mental fitness, my Gotcha for Life Foundation. And there's a QR code there. So if you can grab that, we'd love you to row for mental fitness. It's all about getting a club or a school or your workplaces to row. We've done it for 9 years now. and we want up to 100 clubs if we can. We started with one in Avalon when they lost someone to suicide, and we now want no one worrying alone. So if you'd like to get involved, grab some mates and get that QR code and join us in September. It's going to be a fantastic 24 hours. You only have to row for 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so, as long as someone's on the row for the full day.
What about a wide water sport team? Can we make it happen?
We would love that.
All right.
Raise some money. Gus was saying earlier that he was only doing it for 15 minutes, but then he explained that it was 15 minutes like at every location that he visits throughout the day. So
I do.
I remember last year you wore Lycra.
I did wear Lycra, and I have been told not to wear it ever again.
And on that note, we're going to take a moment, take a pause, get to a break. We'll see you soon. Up next, will somebody please remove that baby? Emma Raducanu's loss of patience is the spark for Gussie's top 5 this week, and Australian surfing does the double on top of the world in Tahiti. Back soon. Thanks for staying with us. Let's take a look at some Aussie rules from overnight. Starting with the AFLW, a new-look Essendon smashed the Giants at Marnock Oval in Canberra. The Bombers let loose 4 debutants in a clinical performance, winning by 56 points. And the Demons impressive in hammering the Western Bulldogs at Whitten Oval, running out 48-point winners. The same couldn't be said for the Demons' men's side, losing to Hawthorn by 36 points at the MCG. Veteran Jack Gunston starred for the Hawks, kicking 7 goals. And the Adelaide Crows snapped a 9-year losing streak against Collingwood, winning by 3 points in front of the biggest AFL crowd Adelaide Oval has ever seen, more than 54,000. It was a grind for both sides until the game opened up in the final quarter. The Crows holding on to top spot on the ladder with 1 round remaining. They'll finish top if they can beat North next week, or even if the Swans beat Geelong today. So 5 teams in a logjam on 60 points. The Suns sitting in 8th spot, with the Bulldogs still to play this afternoon against the West Coast Eagles. As we welcome in Jimmy Bartell. Jimmy, always good to see you, joining us from Melbourne. So the Crows, they look like they're going to finish top, barring a couple of miracles. That was a strange game last night in that Collingwood had double the amount of inside 50s than the Crows, and the Crows still won.
Yeah, morning, Nick, everyone. It was such a fascinating game last night. It had some pretty heavy conditions as well. So we tip our cap to all the people in Adelaide and the Collingwood fans who travelled over, a massive crowd. But it was Collingwood who jumped out to a 5-goal lead, and this happened to the Crows against the Hawks. They coughed up a 5-goal lead, but there's some real maturity, composure, some grit about them, the Adelaide Crows. Matthew Nicks is very calm. He's earned that respect with the group over a 6-year period, and they've got some serious talent on the park. And you highlighted the inside forward 50 differential. I think it's only a handful of times in the last 10 to 15 years where a side's won that stat by so much and not get the win. So it was a massive credit to Adelaide's defence. They held strong. It was an arm wrestle, and they needed that win because they haven't been able to beat the Pies. So that'll definitely give them confidence going into the finals.
Now, Jimmy, it's very, very exciting. We're heading into some amazing football, but the Giants stunned the Gold Coast Suns, you know, taking out that match there and securing their spot into the finals. They were missing some of their key forward players, but they still managed to play some A-finals brand of footy.
Yeah, I think everyone thought Gold Coast would just take care of business. So, strangely, they were playing at 12:35. Most people are at the theme parks or Wet and Wild at that time, but it was an interesting time to kick it off for what was such a crucial game for both sides, because the Suns, everyone thought, they'll win this, they'll push for top 4. You've got to remember, when you look at the ladder, they've got another game to come, that make-up game against Essendon. But the Giants, no Stringer, no Hogan, no Buckley, no Kelly. They were super slick. They were able to transition the footy up and down the ground, and they needed that because they were one of the teams shaky for a finals 8 spot. So, again, it's going to make the last round exciting with those teams.
The Dockers are now looking over their shoulder, Jimmy. The Lions got it done on Friday night, and of course they're the premiers. What are your thoughts on the Dockers now?
Well, the Dockers, unfortunately, they could have a 14 or 15 win season and miss out. That normally guarantees you a top 4 spot. Not saying the Dockers are going to miss out, but it looks more than likely. I know there's wins, losses, who wins by 6 goals. But it looks pretty basic coming down to the last round. If the Western Bulldogs win today, which we expect them to against the West Coast Eagles, it'll come down to the Dogs v Freo, last game of the year, of the regular season, of who plays in the finals. So it's all set up beautifully for the AFL. The last 3 games on Sunday next week will probably determine pretty much 5 sides trying to go into 4 spots.
And Jimmy, so with a lot of these kind of high-intensity, high-endurance sports, the average age is getting younger, right? The games are speeding up, you know, with you guys and all around the world. But we've got this guy, Jack Gunston, he's 33. How good is he going?
Yeah, he's taken the P155, Craig, really, let's be honest. He had a year up at Brisbane, which didn't really pan out for him. We thought, he'll get another year at Hawthorn. He and Luke Bruce, who celebrated game 300, have been on-field leaders for Sam Mitchell. They've used him as the sub over the last couple of years, but got to remember Jack Gunston didn't play the first couple of rounds, and he's up to 60 goals, so he'll be a walk-up All-Australian. Unfortunately for Stephen May, who celebrated game 250, Jack Gunston kicked 7 goals, 4 on him. You can't replace smarts, you can't replace experience and the savviness on the forward line, and it's so good to see.
Hey, Jimmy, good to see you. Thanks for catching up.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, Jimmy Bartell joining us there from Melbourne. I don't know whether you caught up with this during the week. Emma Raducanu in her match in Cincinnati against Aryna Sabalenka. So we're at a crucial point in the third set, and there's been this baby just crying out for ages, and, well, Emma wasn't thrilled. Take a listen.
It's a child. Do you want me to send the child out of the stadium? I can call in, but we need to continue for the moment.
So Emma Raducanu having her concentration, I guess you'd say, spoiled by this child who's been crying in the stadium. You know, you pay your money, surely you can take your kid if you want to, can't you? Did it get you thinking, Gus?
It did get us thinking, and Emma's one of the nicest people as well, so she's like, yeah, I sort of want you to, but I know it's a difficult situation. But what about weird interruptions in sport? So let's get into the top 5. This one here, what about this? A fox at Lords, and we're not talking about Addo-Carr, we're talking about a fox that ran around the oval during the 100 between the Invincibles and the Spirit. Just if you want to know that, the Invincibles won by 6 wickets. But great pace by the fox. He's trying to work out how he can get off the field. He runs past sort of the exit, and in a moment you see him working it out. He's so clever, he works out and slides his way through the advertising hoardings and gets himself off. But he kept play going. There we go. He kept going for about 2 or 3 minutes. What about number 4, 2023, the FA Cup, Luton versus Grimsby Town? It lasted 3 seconds, Foz, before the sprinklers came on. and then the crowd singing, "You don't know what you're doing" to the groundsman and stuff. And they went absolutely everywhere. Number 3, 2025, the Hershey Bears versus Providence. A good celebration like no other. As soon as the home team scores the first goal, cuddly toys get thrown onto the ice. And have a look how many. And it's not only the volunteers that then pick them up, the players do as well. It's a wonderful, wonderful tradition, and it's all about getting those toys to the local schools and to the hospitals for the kids. 2019 Portaloo Gate, this one we're calling. Tyrrell Hatton's wife, Emily, fiancé actually at the time, he's just about to play his shot, and he looks over, and his wife coming out of the Portaloo, the Portaloo door must have been on one of those sort of springy things, and it's smashed shut, and she's sitting there, and he's talking to the camera saying, "That's my wife putting off my shot." But in the end, he nailed his forearm within a foot and got a birdie. And then in 2022, the World Championship Snooker, a pigeon comes down out of the lights at the Crucible, lands on the table. Fortunately, he didn't do any of his number 2s or number 1s, and in the end, they sort of shooed him off. That was Selby versus Pinto, and Pinto won, if you want to know the result, in the second round. So there you go. The weird interruptions in sport, and there was so many of them that I could have gone with as well, especially when it comes to weird animals, bees and bears and all sorts.
And now you know how Gus Worland spends his week.
Yep, I'm a very sad man.
Let's get to another break. More Wide World of Sports on its way.
Shark Park and NRL finals. Should they be mutually exclusive? Does finals footy in $1 billion competition deserve better? And as the NRL's Indigenous round continues awesome again this year, we hear from the Cowboys' Braden Burns on what his culture means to him.
It's such a special round for myself, my family, my kids. Can't wait to be a part of it.
That's when Wide World of Sports returns next.
Now setting that rail, and she guns her way out of a beauty. Congratulations, Molly Picklum, your champion of the Lexus Tahiti Pro, world #1, owning this event from start to finish. Jack Robinson scrapping into this one, wide open pin, he's deep on it. Robbo wants to make it after the spin.
My goodness gracious me.
Jack Robinson does it again. Two-time champ of the Lexus TD Pro, and Robinson's going to cloud break.
More success for Molly and Jack. A great week and more Aussies conquering the world. Always good to see. Thanks for staying with us on Wide World of Sports. Hey, where do you guys sit with this discussion about Shark Park and the fact whether it is or whether it isn't acceptable for finals footy in the NRL? So Neil Breen wrote an article in the Sydney Morning Herald and said, you know, is it right that $1 billion sport should have to play their finals at a tin pot stadium? Gus?
That's no tin pot stadium. And the Sharks, if they get a home final, deserve a home final. So do those fans, which are the most important thing. We never talk about the fans in this situation. We talk about, you know, perhaps it should need this and that, and perhaps it'd be better to have a corporate area. But at the end of the day, if the Sharks get a home final, the first one, they should be able to play it at Shark Park, unless the NRL have come in before the season and made the change. You can't make the change now.
So this is the thing. So in the AFL, for example, Geelong look like they will probably host, should be hosting a final in Geelong. But the AFL say, no, we want to try and maximise the gate here. They were warned ages ago that that wouldn't be happening. It's probably going to be at the MCG.
Absolutely. Well, you can see the argument here with the NRL. They have a responsibility to the wider game, and the finals is a showcase. And, of course, 13,000 seats might not cut it, but you've got to think that's the whole reason why these NRL clubs go through the season grind. They try to finish higher. They want that home crowd advantage there, and I think you should just throw them a bone. It's one game.
Yep.
Well, what is the point of home ground advantage? Like, why do you like playing in front of your own fans? Is because at home you have that incredible support. The fans are so excited about bringing that, about being with the team. I mean, you know, you're a Liverpool fan. I mean, look at Anfield. So, you know, these grounds build up this legendary reputation, and now what you're saying is, oh, well, sorry, you know, you're not going to play there in a game that you deserve because you earned it.
Exactly right. And the NRL have to do something about it. They do it at the start of next season and say, unlucky, these are the rules like the AFL have done, but you can't do it now to them. Look at those Sharky fans there. They're pumped and ready to go. If they win enough to get a home final, let them have it.
You're very sure on this.
Well, you know.
I think it is
fired up. You're not even a Sharks fan and you're fired up.
I think it is a different story for a grand final, you know. Of course, Stadium, Allianz Stadium, maybe so. But for a final series, home ground advantage, I think they should have it. They deserve it.
All right. Now, what about this one? The Sport Australia Hall of Fame. It's celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. And as part of the celebrations, the Melbourne Cup made a special visit as part of the 2025 Cup Tour. So, got 2015 winning jockey Michelle Payne and AFL legend Kevin Sheedy were there, joined by a who's who of sports stars at the event. Now in its 23rd year, the tour's travelled more than 1 million kilometres, visiting more than 670 destinations. Don't forget, you can watch the Lexus Melbourne Cup right here on 9 on Tuesday, November 4. We'll see you soon.
It's where everyone can sort of look at our culture and be proud and take a step back to understand and respect what we've been through and even like what we've contributed to the sport as a culture. I think, you know, you look at some of the biggest moments in sport, you know, 2015, JT kicking the field goal to win the game, like those moments, I think every kid, whether you're Indigenous or non-Indigenous, will look back at and remember. And I think respecting the fact that, you know, that was a black fella, like he done that. It's just respecting those moments and respecting those players that have played. It's such a special round for myself, my family, my kids. Can't wait to be a part of it.
The Cowboys' Braden Burns there, Indigenous round, that's what it means, and it continues this afternoon right here on 9's Wide World of Sports, live and free from 3:30 Eastern, the Cowboys and the Knights. And the NRL footy show in the Eastern States is just about to follow Wide World of Sports. There's a special announcement on Payne Haas's future, so stick around for that. And Fozzie, there's a big evening coming up for you as well. This triple header on Stan Sport in the first weekend of EPL. And
Mole Club there, Palace playing Chelsea tonight. It's only 10:50. You've got to be on that. And Notts Forest did well last season against Brentford, and Manchester United and Arsenal. I mean, even if you don't support those two teams, that is a blockbuster. You have to be on that 1:15. It's going to be a late night again.
Early morning, not late night.
On Stan Sport. Hey guys, thanks very much for your company today. Thanks for your company. I'm Nick McArdle. We'll see you soon.